I think we're live. Make sure everything is set up. When you get on here, if you could say hello. That way we can get the comments started. And tell me where you're from. Hi, Christina. Hi, Carrie. Here we go. We got some going. Thank you, guys. Keep on telling me where you're from. Hi, Deb. Trying to get it on my phone also, because sometimes, you know how things go. We got Louisiana. Hi, Diana and Robbie. Sometimes it shows up and sometimes they don't, guys. So we're going to try to beat it this time and get them to show up, because that's what we like, right? So it helps if you can get on here and tell me hello and tell me where you're from. Okay, I think we're getting it. Guys. So I hope you guys saw my post and you've got your materials ready. And I'm so glad you're here. Trying to get it hooked up on my phone, but I think it's working on front lines here. So hi, Agnes and Renee and Susan, Diana, Wichita. I was born in Wichita, Kansas. And Carrie and Elaine from Florida and Debbie from Pennsylvania. Paige got it. Good, guys. Well, happy Sunday to everybody. My name is Vicki Jean, and I have Vicki Jean Wilson Art, where I teach, I think, easy sketching and painting techniques so you can create art that you love. And if you want to see some more things that I do, check out my site. I also have it's real new though, a YouTube. Yeah. Yep. You can have a YouTube channel when you're older. Yeah, you can. Takes a little bit to figure it out, but I got it, girls. I got it. Girls and guys. And so I have a few videos, and a couple actually. Now this one I'm going to transfer over there too. So by chance, if you can't paint with me or you miss part of it, you can still see it on my Facebook page, and you can also check it out later. You'll see it on the YouTube. I will transfer it over. So it looks like we have a lot of people from different places. Got Ashley from South Texas, and it looks like everything is coming through good, guys. So let's go over your supplies one more time. Like I said, happy Sunday to you, and I'm going to enjoy painting with you guys today. I had to hurry up and get my coffee. Do you guys got something to drink? I got coffee. I needed a little perk up, I think. But I have my paints. Here's what we got. And like I said, and I always say, you guys are the artist. You design it how you would like. I am going to move this. I thought I had it situated, but it looks like you might not be able to see it that well. I'm not sure. At least on my monitor, I don't see it so well. So we're going to move this a little bit. And hopefully you can see this a little better going down. Maybe that helps some. Does that help you guys some? Hope so. Okay, we're going to go over this way, and that way you can see the final painting. And I'm going to be painting here, and I'll probably go over it a little closer too so you can see it better. And let's get going. So our paints are, I have a medium green. I have kind of a burnt yellow or mustardy kind of yellow. I've got brown, white, purple, And then if you want to use any glitter, I showed you guys earlier, this kind of glitter that's in the bottle. It's pretty awesome. If you want to use that, I have a pencil with an eraser because we're going to sketch. And I have a ruler, though you don't need to have that ruler. Of course, I have paper towels, and I always tell everybody, just a word of suggestion, to get you a paper towel, kind of fold it in fours, and I dampen it. It's not, it's not dripping, but it's damp. And that way, if you have kind of an oops in your painting, you can blot it. Don't rub it, but just kind of blot it to remove it while the paint is still wet in case something happens, right? Because it happens to all of us. So I've got my brush. Now, the basic brush that we're using today is the 1/2 inch. See, the 1/2 inch flat, which is what I use a lot of the times, most of the time. But we can do every bit of this painting with this brush. Now, if you have a larger inch brush, you can use that for the background if you want. You just use what you have, and then we'll just start painting here, guys. So I think there's another Vicki, and she spells it Vicki from Alabama. You spell it the same way I do. Not too many people do that. It's kind of interesting how so many spellings of Vicki, right? Well, you either are going to paint on canvas, you're going to paint on wood, or you're going to paint on maybe a mixed media pad. For this demonstration, I'm going to just use, it's a 9x12, it's a mixed media pad. And that's what I'm going to use to show you guys. Now, as far as the sketching goes, we're going to do that first. And you're going to grab your pencil, of course, with your eraser. And let's look at this one right here. You see this? Now, this is a 9x12 sheet. It doesn't matter if you have a smaller canvas or mixed media pad or if you have a larger one. I'm going to teach you how to do that, whatever size you have. But you want to get the proportions right, when you're sketching. Now, we can use the ruler if you choose to, but first we're going to make some like little tick marks. So you're going to get your canvas, your wood, your mixed media pad, whatever you're going to paint. You want to make sure that you have enough room at the top of it, whatever you're painting on, that your cross doesn't go all the way to the top. You want to have a little bit of breathing room, right? You want to have that sky showing all the way around. And then also the other thing, you don't want to bring it all the way down, I don't believe. Now, like I said, you guys are the artists, you can sketch it how you would like. I'm going to teach you how I did mine. And then you can make adjustments appropriately, however you would like. I put mine on a heel. Now my heel here, if I'm dividing my sheet, this is a 9x12, right? If I'm dividing it, kind of eyeballing it halfway, it would be around right here. As you can see, my heel is way down here, right? So my heel is probably about 2.5 inches at the top of the heel. So kind of think about how you want it. If you want one heel, if you want 3 heels, whatever you want, you just kind of start sketching that. We're going to do that first. So go down to the bottom of whatever size that you have and kind of look about where you want the top of that heel. So I'm going to bring this over a little closer for you. I'm going to bring this down just a little bit. You might be able to see better. So I'm going to want my heel about the top of it about right there. So I'm going to put a little mark here. Just a little mark. Now my marks are going to be a little darker. I want you guys to just sketch it just dark enough that you can see it. Most of it in this painting, you're going to be able to cover it. But sometimes if you put too dark of marks, then if you're using lighter colors, of course, it's not going to go over the marks. Now you could also use chalk. You can use chalk, and that way you can just wipe it right off. You can also use a watercolor pencil. Not a colored pencil, but a watercolor pencil. And you could also wash that off later. But it's just as easy, just grab a number 2 pencil and go with it. So I've made my little mark at the top of the heel. So that's where my top of the heel is going to be. My heel, of course, is going to start at the bottom, or it could start at the side if you wanted it to. But in this case, I've kind of got mine started towards the bottom of the side, and it's going around this way. So let's do your heel. Just sketch that. Now I'm going to do mine darker, like I said, so you can see it. See? Easy peasy. Here we go. Okay, now think about how you want your cross. Mine is, well, actually this one here is probably, get that here, it's about 1.25 inches wide. You might not want yours that wide. That's up to you. The crossbar here is just about 1 inch. So this one's a little wider. The base of it, or the top of the, from the top to the bottom of the cross is wider than this one going across. So that's up to you. You can have them the same size. You can have them a little bit different. I kind of wanted mine looking a little rustic, so they're not proportioned exactly right. So the next thing you need to do about tracing is we need to think where you want the top of your cross, right? So you want some sky, like we said. I believe you do. You don't want to bring it all the way up. So come down from the top of your canvas or your mixed media pad, your wood, whatever you're painting on. Think about, kind of step back a minute and kind of look at this. Think about where you want the top of your cross, and I put another little tick mark there. Just a little circle or whatever you would like. Just something that you can gauge it with. Now what you need to do now, you've got it top and bottom, right? Because it comes down to the top of your heel. Then you're going to decide how wide you want it. So I'm looking at mine, and I kind of want my, you can either go to the left or right side, and kind of, I'm just eyeballing it. Now if you want to get more precise, get your ruler out, make sure it's straight, yada yada, all that stuff if you want to. You don't have to, it's up to you. If you're that type of person that bothers you, if it's not exactly horizontal and all that, then I would go ahead and grab your ruler. But right now, as you can see, I do have it fairly level. Not exact, but fairly level. I have room on the left side for some more sky, and I have room on the right side for some more sky. But it's pretty well balanced. Okay, now I'm going to show you the next thing. If you've got the 4 marks, one at the top, and of course one at the bottom, and 2 at the sides. Now you can either grab you a ruler, and you can start, now what I did my, my vertical one first. And in fact, this ruler I have is honestly about the right width. But I can use the ruler, kind of line it up, and use the sides of the ruler if I want to, like this, and just kind of make my marks. Or I can go up and just sketch them in. Now, unless you want your sides perfect, I would use your ruler. If you don't care and you want a little bit more rustic cross, so you can see the bottom half of my cross is pretty straight, and the top half I've just sketched. Because we're going to paint over these lines, and then do the top. Now, I want you to go just straight across on the top. We will paint this rugged part if that's what you like. But right now, I'm just going to go straight. Hi, Sharon. I'm glad you're here. Uh-oh. Hope you feel better. Goodness. Okay, now the next decision you need to make, guys, is you've got your marks on the right and the left of your vertical part of your cross. So you need to decide, is the center, are the dots the center of your crossbar, or are you going to use the top of that to go across, or the bottom of that to go across? So you kind of have to decide how much of the top of the cross do you want to show. And in my case, my little tick dots are going to be actually the center. So I'm going to come up from my dot and go down from my dot. So my dot is in the center. See right here? And I'm just going to sketch it across. Going across all the lines. Now, like I said, if you want to use a ruler, you sure can. I'm going to show you kind of both ways. Okay. Now, when you look at this and you get this sketch, you might want to, on one side or the other, kind of get a little balanced. This side on the right was a little bit longer than my left side, so I just kind of added a little more. And this is basically what you want to end up having. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to erase best I can those little marks, those darker marks, since we've got it. Let you guys get that cross sketched. Most of these will be covered up with your paints. Okay, so you've got a simple heel that you sketched and a simple cross. The next thing we need to do is to get our 1/2-inch brush, and what we're going to do is make a wash. Now, a wash is basically using water to acrylic paint, and I'm going to show you how to do that. My background of this is entirely up to you, but I'm going to show you how to do this background here, like I've got. The whole background, all behind the cross, not counting the heel, of course, is a very light purple, or a light blue. If you have blue, you can use that. And I have that shade of purple here. And what I'm going to do is dip my brush in the water, and I'm going to transfer some of that water over here on the side, right here. See how it's runny? I want it very runny. I want my purple paint very runny. Almost like a watercolor is what we're going to do, but we're going to call it a wash. I want it very light. So you want it kind of depends on your color and your pigment and the paint you're using. And basically, I am going all over this background in this light color. Kind of almost haphazardly. See? Just bringing it around that cross. If I get some in the cross, it's okay. It's going to be covered. It's darker paint. I'm going on the top of that heel and going around that cross. I'm not using any kind of certain brush strokes. See? Just a very light shade. And like I said, that's called a wash. Now you have to watch it because it will run on you. Sometimes runs are kind of pretty in art. But in this one, and that might be a kind of a good little thing to use on this, but personally, I'm not going to on this one. And I'm just using that very light purple all over my background. I've got some strokes going horizontal, some going vertical, some kind of crisscross, just working that paint all over. If you start getting some drips, then just take your brush and kind of work that in your canvas. Unless you want some drips in it. Like I said, if you get a little bit in your cross, it's not going to hurt because we're going to Actually, if you do get some, it kind of helps it, to be honest, because then you've got all that background covered. If you want it a little darker and you end up, it dries and it's a little bit too light for you, remember we're going to bring some other colors over the top of that wash we just done. We're going to have a deeper purple here, and we're going to have a gold over here, kind of a golden yellow. So don't worry if it's not dark enough for you yet. My little stool's about to get away with me. Got a little stool that's got wheels. If I fall on the floor, guys, just hang on. I'll pop back up. I think that maybe helped you see a little bit. So we'll wait just a minute. Let everybody get their background on there. Hello from Oregon. Hi, Gloria from California. Julie. Julie's traveling, so yes. Like I said, you guys can check back on my page, or you can also give me a little time and I'll download it to YouTube also, which is a new channel for me, so I'll be getting more things on there as time goes on. Melissa from Texas. Susan. Hi, Susan. Okay, if you've done a light wash and it's not super wet, just kind of lightly touch it. You know, if you touch a painting, if you bend your finger and you touch a painting right here, just right on your forefinger, you can tell better how wet it is, how damp it is. You'll be able to tell. Then, you know, we always kind of do this number, but if you do this way, it's better. Hi, Carol from Arizona. I think all my comments are coming through, so that is good. Thank you guys for commenting. Tell me where you're from when you get on there. That helps Facebook to start those comments going. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the exact same thing. You can see over here, now what I've done on my bottom left area of the cross, I've went over this with a wash of kind of the yellow gold. Same thing, I've taken my brush, I've pulled a little bit away from the larger amount. I've added water to it and made more of a puddle. Now I would suggest going very light. If you're using this, just like you did, it's just a wash. See, you're going over and kind of, when you come up here, kind of blend it a little bit so you don't have an abrupt line. You want the feeling of a little bit of a light coming through this area. So you don't want a complete stark line. You want to try to blend it into your background with your brush. And like I said, I'm kind of going different directions and softening that part up here. See, as you can see, I've kind of softened this area here so it's not a straight line of yellow or the gold. See how that looks? Acrylic paint is great to do washes with. Just changes it so much, adds some depth to it. Okay, now we're going to jump over to this area here. And the darker purple is basically the top right of the cross. And I did come down a little bit lower. Kind of just see what you like. And it's the same kind of thing you're doing. You're going to add a little bit more purple to that right side. Now you already might have a little bit of that wash, but you might just from the background, if you use purple, you might just want to add just a little bit more pigment to it to make it a little darker. And as the same thing, I'm just trying to soften the edges. Might have to add a little water to do that and just soften that up, kind of make it almost like a watercolor. A little bit more purple up in this corner. Now this is something, you know, even when you get finished with your cross, you can always come back in and add a little bit more if you would like. Like actually, I think I'm going to add a little bit more of the yellow down here. Mine's kind of turned out a little lighter than I would like. Add this bottom area, a little bit more gold and yellow color. Still keeping the transition of the lighter purple or blue, whichever you use, and the golden real soft, that transition area, not a stark line. You don't want that. You want to kind of get it softened through here. Same way with this area. From the lighter purple to the darker purple, you don't want a line. And this is actually using acrylics as washes, is what they call it, but also somewhat like a watercolor. And all this adds a little bit of character to your background. Instead of just having a solid color, it just adds a little character to it. We're going to wait just a minute or so, let some people kind of get caught up on that background. Kind of look back. If you stopped and you got your paints on there, kind of step back, look away from it, and check it out again, see if you need to add any more color. I wanted to share with you guys too that this painting back here behind me, this one, is a kind of a sample painting, but you can do any colors you want. But I have an instruction sheet for that, a free one. If you would like a free instruction sheet, how to paint those cottage flowers behind me, then put in the comments flower or free flower, and I will give you the link to be able to get that instruction sheet. And then you can paint your own and use whatever colors you like, but I teach you how to do that step by step. So it is an instruction sheet. It's not a video, it's an instruction sheet. But if you like it, just type in flower and I will make sure that you will get that. Comment flower. I have myself a little note here to remind myself. I don't know if you guys have to do that or not, but I do. Sometimes I do. I also have some paintings coming up in April. One is April the 6th. It's on a Tuesday. And it is going to be, you know, it's springtime, right? And bird nest and birds are really popular. Well, I also teach some palette knife painting, but if you don't have a palette knife, you know what you guys can use? You can use an old credit card. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a credit card bird nest. And that is going to be Tuesday, April 6th. So keep watching for that. Also, April 15th, which is a Thursday, we're going to do a lemon tree painting. Lemon tree painting. So keep those dates open and stay tuned for those dates, and I'll give you more information about it. But remember to comment flower if you want the free step-by-step for this painting back here. Okay, maybe we've given people enough time to get your backgrounds of that the way you like it. And like I said, you can always go back in there afterwards. So now we're going to start on the cross part. We could start on the hill, but a lot of times we get our wrist in that part, and then it's in our sky and everything else. So I think we'd be better off starting with our cross. Now the cross here has a mixture of different colors. We've got the browns, and we've got a dark brown, we've kind of got a medium brown, and we've got a white. I only told you 2 colors, right? So we're going to mix some colors. So what you need to do is get your clean brush, and I'm using my same thing, the 1/2-inch flat brush. And I have a darker brown and a white. Now, if you have a medium brown and want to use that, you just feel free to use that. But I am actually going to mix. So I have a little bit of brown, a little bit of white, and I'm going to mix it right here. So I'm going to have me 3 colors on that cross. And it's going to be the white, it's going to be the dark brown, and we're going to have like a medium brown. So I'm mixing that up right now, and the medium brown is actually pretty well a tan, or just a tan color. This brown doesn't have hardly any red in it, and it's pretty well almost like a grayish tan, to be honest. See? Probably your monitor, maybe it probably looks gray. But I've got 3 colors here. So after I get that mixed up, I'm going to wash my brush out. And the first thing we're going to do is going to get our cross here, get it closer to us. And I'm going to go with the medium brown first. And all I'm doing is just painting it, the whole cross, up and down. I'm just following the lines right now. You can even bring that down into your heel if you want, just to make sure, because it won't hurt anything. So try to keep it on your lines that you've sketched. And then when we add the other colors, that's when we're going to kind of go outside the lines, right? We're going to color outside the lines. If your paint gets too thick, add a little bit of water to it. This is acrylic, and that's how you thin it. If it gets to where it doesn't want to paint smoothly, sometimes I find that the tube paints are thicker than your bottle or jar paints. So a lot of times I have to dip my brush a little bit, not much, but just a little bit in the water to kind of thin it out, and it flows from my brush a lot smoother. So you're just following the lines now. Bring it on down. Go ahead and bring it into your heel. Okay. Hello, Alexa from Myrtle Beach. Okay, we're doing the mid-tone actually right now of the cross. Add that right there. I've just pretty well got one coat on it. I'm not going to worry too much about it, especially if you want your cross a little rustic looking. And mine's a little damp. Little dampness won't hurt, but a lot will, because you'll end up picking up your paint. If you start painting over it, then you're going to pick up your bottom color of paint. So as you can see, we'll wait just a minute for everybody to get your cross painted, and then we'll let that dry in a second. As you can see, I have like jagged edges at the top. Now this is when we're going to put the second coat, which will be our dark brown. This is what we're going to do. And I'm still using this brush, but I'm actually using one of the corners of the brush. And when I come up to paint the dark brown, then I'm going to just kind of use a little bit of the corner of my brush and just do that jagged at the top. I've got a little jagged on the sides too. So I'm going to paint flat with my brush flat, going this way. And then when I get that jagged part, I'm just going to kind of tilt my brush a little bit to where I'm just using the corner of it to make the jagged area. So that's what we're going to do next. And let me show you, I'm going to load my brush in the darker brown. So I dip my brush. My brush is pretty loaded with paint, right? Now this is when I would probably get your little damp rag, your oops rag as I call it, just in case something goes haywire, right? But I don't want a lot of dark brown, but I want enough to make it kind of look like wood. I want enough dark brown on one side to act like a shadow. And that's what we're going to do first. We're going to go completely from either top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever is easier for you, on the left side of the cross with the dark brown. I'm just touching it like that, and I'm just kind of smoothing it up, going up and down. Now I don't want a line. I don't want a line. I don't want brown. I'm adding me a little water, and I'm kind of just blending that into the tan color or the lighter brown. Now you're going to have some streaks. That's what you want. You want some streaks. Now when it starts streaking really bad though, you need to stop. So right now, that's how that looks. I've got darker brown on the left side. I've left some lighter brown. And now I'm going to tip the corner of my brush, and I'm going to start at the top, and this is when I just make some jagged, kind of going up and down, up and down. Just like that. See how jagged that is? Now you could use a small round brush to do that, or you might want to use a liner brush to do that. That's entirely up to you. Get your brown kind of the way you want it. Now what you're going to do next is the bottom part. I don't have it as dark, though. I have it darker brown on the cross section of the cross. But it's a little darker at the bottom part of that cross. So you're going to add a little bit to the bottom, a little darker, and you're going to go across this part. Do it the same way. If it doesn't want to blend well, add a little water to your brush. Kind of blend it that way. To where it's darker at the bottom, but it goes up lighter. Now there's no right or wrong on this, guys, because this is wood. You know how wood has different characters, has knot holes, has different things in it. You can always go back over this with different colors. And as you notice, we're starting to have not so straight lines, right? So on this left side, I'm doing the same thing. I've got a little bit of brown on the corner of my brush, and I'm just jagging it around. I'm going to do it on the other side too. Same way I did the top. And I'm just kind of using the corner of my brush and bringing it out and in. And then just kind of smoothing it in. Starting to come together, guys. Already. Now, my bottom part, see, I've got it jagged at the top. I've got it jagged on both sides. I'm happy with that. This is too smooth for me. These sides are too smooth for me. So guess what? I'm going to dip my brush in the brown again, and I'm going to try to make those sides a little bit more jagged. Maybe not as much as the top, but just a little bit more jagged. See, it's not so smooth. Now, if you like it smooth and you used a ruler, then that's fantastic. You can keep that just like that. You might like that. Okay. Let that dry just a minute. If you need to add a little bit more in your corner of your brush and add some darker, then now's the time to do that. Mine was a little light. I'm going to darken it up some, my jagged areas, on my top and my sides. I'm just barely touching that with my corner of my brush in the brown. It just makes it look jagged. I'm going to do this down below too, below that crossbar. I just touch all the way down into your heel and up here at the top. Okay. Pull it in a little bit. Blend it. You don't want a line, you just kind of want it to, you want to paint some different shades on this. That's what we want right now. Different shades of browns. You want a little bit of a rustic appearance. So you don't want it smooth, you want it rustic looking. guys. Now I'm going to show you where I'm at now. See, I've got the depth of color that I would like to have. So right now I have two, well, actually 3 shades. I've got that lighter brown or tan. I've got that medium brown, and as I go over that brown, especially on the jagged edges, and it's a darker brown actually. So I'm going to wash my brush out, my 1/2 inch brush still. And this is when you have to be very careful. I'm going to dip my brush in my white. And I don't have a whole lot on there. It's pretty thin. And I'm going to, the first thing I'm going to do is lighten up this right side of the cross. So I'm going to come down, and you know how we did the brown? And just kind of pull it down. And work it towards the center. Not all the way over, necessarily, but work that white kind of towards the center. Just like this. So you've got some streaks there. You don't want a solid white line. And I'm going to do the opposite, going upwards this way, but it's still on the right side, and I'm pulling it back up. Because it's easier kind of for me to go up with it than it is going down. So I'm trying to keep that cross section where I need it to be. It's a little thicker than a wash of paint. It's not like our background wash, but it's not as thick as this, on my palette either, because then it would be too white. The same thing, I'm going to use the same amount of paint on my brush, and I'm going to go across now, the top of the crossbar. You might want to go back and forth. You might want to go in one area. Like I said, if you pull up a little bit more paint here and there, that's just part of it. That brings the character to the cross. Like some of mine is pulling up, and actually I really like it. In the center there, see how that's kind of pulled up some of that dark brown, and it's lifting, and I've got some of the light brown showing through right here. And I like that. It looks more like wood to me. And I'm going to leave it, though. I don't want to keep messing with it. I like that look. So when you get to a point that you see that you like, just stop. Stop. So I'm going to take a little coffee sip while you guys work on this. Right now, you've got your white on the right side of your vertical wood, and on the horizontal, you've got it on the upper side. Now, this is it's kind of up to you. You can add more white wherever you see little streaks here and there. You might want a little bit more white somewhere. So now's the time to do that. If you see where you want to add a little bit more white somewhere, I would do that. Now's when you need to. With painting like this gives the illusion of light, just like we did over here. Now we could have put the light on the left side. It's kind of up to you, but I just chose this. I'm adding a little bit more white to the right side, across. A little bit more white to the top of the crossbar. Maybe even tilting my brush up just a little bit to use the corner the edge of the brush, just to add some highlight to it. If you need to blend it out some, go ahead. Now, one important thing we need to do too, you're going to take that 1/2 inch brush, you're going to dip it in that white again, just a tiny bit, just a corner of it. See how I've done that? Let me put this behind it here. I can't see that, can you? There you can now. I bet you can see that. See how just a little bit on the corner. Okay, right through here, right below your dark brown part, you are going to do the same thing. You're going to kind of touch and go up and down with just the white. And see how that gives a illusion of hollowness actually in that wood. I'll show you closer here in just a minute. I'll pull a little bit of that white down into my wood. Just kind of play with it some to see how you like it. If you get too much white, hey, get a little brown on your brush and go over that. Just like that. Easy. You're just layering now colors. You're making it look more like wood. You're just layering. Okay, here's how I kind of made that white. Now look at that difference. See, it looks like the top of the cross, it almost looks hollow because it looks like you're looking down into it somewhat because you've got that dark brown background and then you have that lighter up front. So it kind of looks like it would be hollow going down here. I did a little bit of white on each side here too, if you'd like. I've got my blending the way I like it. I've got a mixture of light browns, whites, and dark browns. You can always put knot holes in there if you would like some too. So we've got our sky background. We've got our basic cross, but one thing we still need to do on the cross is take a little bit of your dark brown on your 1/2 inch flat brush and see right here where you've got a little darker right here, right above the cross beam or wood beam. This gives, if you do a little bit darker right here above it and a little bit darker below it, then this makes this cross beam appear in front of it. So I'm going to take my 1/2 inch flat and I'm going to add a little bit of brown. I'll show you up close. So I'm touching and then I'm lifting, touching, lifting, touching, lifting, touching, lifting. I'm doing the same below it. And then I'm going down though. So you want it darker right above and below that cross section. Now when you do that, look how that changes that. See, it, because of the shades, this is lighter, so it appears closer to us. Right here. So make sure you do that on your cross. I think it adds a little bit more, it just adds a little bit more dimension, guys. That's just what it is. Okay, we are going to stop right there on the cross and we're going to jump back down to the hill. Basically, the heel is just a mixture of the same thing we pretty well put in the cross. You've got some light brown, some dark brown, and a little bit of green. And then white at the very top. So I basically did it the same way. I started and coated the whole heel in a kind of a medium brown. So I'm going to mix my paint up some more to a shade of kind of a medium brown. And I'm just painting over my heel. So I'm going to let my cross dry before we put the purple on it. Needs to be good and dry. Get your heel the way you like it. If you happen to sketch, when you were sketching it, if it's a little funky to you, now's the time you can change that. You want your heel basically very similar to your cross. You want it to look like, not wood, but you want it to be earthy, I guess I should say. Have different tones, different colors in it. Now you could put just green grass if you wanted it like that. Like I said, you guys are the artist of your own paintings. You can change it up however you like. That's what's fun about painting, right? Okay, see, I've got it just solid color right now. Remember, guys, comment flowers if you would like the step-by-step of this. And like I said, you can change the colors however you would like it. These are kind of simple cottage flowers. And if you type in flowers, I will send you the link that will give you the step-by-step how to do that. Okay, we have got our cross. We have got the shading on it. We've got our heel, the base coat. Now, basically, all the rest you do on the heel is you are going to take some dark brown now, and I'm just kind of like I did the sky. You just kind of hodgepodge it back and forth, however you like. How much you want brown and how much you want your light brown showing, that's just entirely up to you. Now, my light brown is still a little damp, and that should be fine. I'm just kind of going over it with a little bit of dark brown in places, right? Not completely over it, but just in places. I want it to kind of look trampled on. I want it to look rustic, kind of like the cross. So right now we're just adding a dark brown in places. Have fun with it. Just play with the colors. Blend them some. Remember what I said, if it gets a little bit dry, then add a little bit of water on your brush and that will make it blend a lot easier because we're working with acrylics and that's how you would thin it out. It's with water. Now I'm going to dip, my brush has still got a little bit of muddy brown and I'm going to dip it in the white. And at the top of my heel. See the tops of it? I'm just adding a little bit of white here and there. That's basically just kind of a little sunlight on there. I don't want it looking like a stripe, so I'm blending it in. Now, I don't care how many times you do this painting, they're going to be different each time. The main thing is you have fun with it. It's Easter season, Easter time. It's a pretty painting. I'm good with that. Get it to where you like it. Then you're going to dip your brush in the green. Now, like I said, if you, whatever shade of green you have, that's entirely up to you. I'm going to add a little white to mine because I don't care for that shade of green that I had, but it's okay. It just, I don't know. I think of spring. I think of a little bit lighter green. And I'm adding a little bit to the bottom. Just adding another little layer of color to the bottom. Oh, look what I did, guys. See? Right there. That's where you get things on your fingers. So this is a good example. Take your oops towel and blot while that's still damp. Try not to rub, just blot. But you got to catch it when it's wet, when it's damp. So I got the majority of it, but I'm going to have to touch it up with my brush and get a little bit more wetter. It happens. I got my finger in it. You cannot be a painter without getting it on you, right? Kind of cover over that a little bit. That's what I mean. You might even want to add some more of your background colors a little bit later. I'll work with that a little bit more later. I got the majority of it off. That's why I wanted to do the cross first, because I knew what was going to happen. You're going to stick your finger in places and then have it everywhere. Because that's what I do. Now your greens, too, you want to have a little bit coming up, probably. I wanted some on the bottom, but then I have some coming up from the base of the cross. And I'm still taking my 1/2 inch brush, but look what I'm doing. I'm just pulling up, putting it flat up against my canvas or my mixed media board, and I'm just using the chisel edge, the end of my bristles, to make some grass. Just simple grass. You don't want your grass just sticking straight up. You want some movement in that grass. Some of my stems or blades of grass goes straight up. Some of them go to the right. Some of them move to the left. You want your grass to do the same thing. You don't want it completely straight up. Grass isn't like that. Blades go every which direction. So get that to where you kind of like that look. Do that however much. You can even pull it down here if you want to and add some grass closer to the bottom. It kind of gives the appearance that's close to you. See? Just simple little grass there. Got our cross. Got our background. We've got our heel. Guys, we're moving right along. Wash your brush out real good when you get to this stage. I'm going to try to wipe a little bit of my fingers off so I don't get it everywhere else. I see some of you have put flowers in the comments, so I will, when this is over, I'll be sure to put the link, give you the link to get the step-by-step instructions. Now, it's not a video. It is step-by-step instructions that you will get sent to you for the cottage flowers. So I see some of you have put flowers down, and I will do that. Also, this will give me a few minutes, and I will download this to YouTube, and it's Vicki Jean Wilson Art. But it will also be on the Facebook page. Okay, guys, check your cross. Mine is still just tacky. Mine's tacky. It's not really wet, but it's kind of tacky. So let's see what we've done so far, right? We've got our background. We've got our cross. We've got our heel. And we just finished the grass, right? So the next thing we need to do is the purple cloth or robe that's draped around the cross. Now, what I would suggest is to grab your pencil with an eraser. And I think we need to sketch this. If you have chalk and want to do that, you can use that too. Now, I want you to go real light with this, because if you have to erase it, I don't want you to pull up your background. So go real light sketching this. But the first thing you need to do to sketch, you see that this cloth is basically two things. It's the right side and the left side. And it starts right behind this top of this cross, right? But it's right above the crossbar. So here's your crossbar here, right? And about 1/4 of an inch is where I started this. So I'm going to come up here. Here's my crossbar, right? So about a quarter inch, that's where, right here, is where I'm going to start my purple robe. I'm going to go on the opposite side, about the same space. So I've got 2 little tick marks on both sides, right? That's where I'm going to start the robe. Now, when you look down here, depends how you have your cross. Now, this total cross is probably about, let's say, about 6 inches. Yeah, about 6.5 inches. So my purple wrap is about 3 1/4. So you have to kind of look and think how long you want this. I don't think you want it too awful long, but mine comes a little bit more than half of the bottom part of the cross. See the bottom part of the cross here, from the crossbar down? My purple comes maybe, about half, maybe a little bit more than half, how far it comes down. So decide how far you want it to come down, and then put your little tick mark about where you want it. So I have my mark here, my top mark and my bottom mark. My top mark on my right side and my bottom mark. So make sure that is kind of the length that you want this. Now you're going to come from that tick mark, and see, you're going to sketch over this bar, right? So it looks like it's draping over. So I'm going to start at my tick mark, and I'm going to lightly sketch. Now for you guys, I'm going to have to do it a little darker so you can see. Now I don't want it to be a straight line. I don't even want it to be a straight arc. I want it to have a little sway. I want it to have the fabric look, to have a little bit of movement. So I'm going to come down and I'm just going to kind of sway it like that. And I'm going to come up and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. It's going to still come back up, and I'm going to show you close up here. Just a minute. Okay, see this? I've started at that little tick mark and I've sketched over here, and then it kind of comes in, then it goes back out, and then it comes to a point. Then it comes back up, goes in and over, back up to here. You see that? You want it to look like fabric draped over. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to come over. Tilt that a little bit. I'm going to come over the bar, go back in a little bit, come back out, and get to a point. Then I'm going to go this way, hit my tick mark, go in, out, and then back up to that point. So I always start at that top little tick mark, and I end at that bottom one, or a little bit around it anyway, close to it. My bottom part looks, see, my bottom part comes to a point, and it's little wavy lines in and out, but they all start here or in there and down here. See? So kind of, let's work on that a minute. If you need to make it a little wider, which I think I do, my right side, try to get them to where they're basically uniform on each side. You don't want your fabric on one side to be too much wider. Now, sometimes when it's draped around, it's not going to be exact. See, I have on this side here, that fabric there is a little wider than this side. That's okay. Fabric does that, right? But just kind of get it. The main point in here is to get where you want it behind, coming from behind your cross, draping over the crossbar and ending not too far down. And the other thing you mainly want is you want it to sway. You want that to have some movement. So when you get that done, then you're going to take your purple, and I'm still using my 1/2 inch flat, and I am starting at that top, going up to, I think you'll be able to see it here just a minute. Let me paint a little bit, and then I'll show you up close. I think you will see better with the paint, kind of what I'm talking about. You see? I started behind, it looks like it's behind this. It comes over, my fabric comes over the crossbar and then ends down here. Do your other side the same way. I'm just using straight purple right now. You want movement. You don't want this just a straight piece of fabric falling down it. I mean, give your painting some life. Kind of even them up, both sides. If you see one's a little bit too wide, or you might want to widen the other side. It's always a good idea to kind of step back We've been painting a little over an hour, and it's always good to kind of step back and take a peek at it. Okay. I actually have one just a tad bit longer than the other one. I kind of like that. We're moving right along, guys. I'm so glad you guys joined today. And like I said, Tuesday, April 6th, we're going to learn how to do a bird nest with a old credit card. And if you have palette knives, you're more than welcome to use palette knives. And then Thursday, April 15th, we're going to do a lemon tree. So stay tuned for more information about that. Okay, you should have something similar to this when you're done. Now it looks kind of blah right now, doesn't it, with the fabric? So we got to liven that fabric up some. And how we do that is we're going to lighten some areas, much like we did the cross. We know that the top would be more light, so we're going to add your purple, and you're going to do a lighter, if you've used purple or whatever color that you've used, you're going to take some purple, take some white, and mix that. So you're going to have a lighter shade of purple. I'm using same brush. And I'm just kind of touching a little bit on the top with that purple, kind of going around the edge. I've got a lot on my brush, so I've got to, you don't want very much. You don't need very much. I have to wash some of that off, and then I'm just kind of taking it and kind of blending that in. That light purple in the dark purple, pulling it over a little bit towards the center of the fabric. Taking my brush, kind of softening the edges, much like we did other things. Just kind of keep lightly, very lightly, go over that area, blend it in, soften it. Some, you don't want any harsh lines in this. You want it softened. See how that looks? Just kind of a softened look. You still have your light and dark, and look how the very bottom, I kind of left a little bit of purple. You don't have to, but it almost looks again like there might be a fold in the fabric. I'm going to do the same thing to both sides. On the right side now, I'm adding a little bit of that purple very lightly on the outside edge. Wipe my brush. And I'm just softening that area again. My brush is just barely damp. Barely damp. But you want to show two shades. You want to show that deep purple, and you want to show that softer white, or light purple, I should say, not white, but light purple. See how it is. I'm going to add a little white now to the very top of that fabric and pull it down. So it's got three shades. You've got your purple, you've got your mid purple, and now you have a few places with the white. And actually, I'm kind of painting wet on wet, so I've not let these dry in between, but I'm not using much paint either. And I'm just kind of pulling that around, softening it. If you see some areas you need to lighten it up, especially maybe around the wood area. If it's too dark, you might want to lighten it up. Okay, get that to where you like that. I'm pretty happy with this right now. So I've got like three shades showing in the fabric. Your deep purple, your mid-tone purple, and a white actually. Try to go over that area that I stuck my finger in. A little bit different, more color to it to hide that. Here I tell you guys not to do that. Be careful, and here I do it. That's why I tell you guys to be careful, because I do it, right? It happens a lot. The last thing, guys, we need to do is add the glitter. If you want to add glitter, I just think it adds a little something to the painting. See, I've got it here. Kind of tilt it a little bit, maybe you can see it. And I don't have oodles, but I have a little bit in this area here of the cross. And I have just a few little flecks on the bottom of the heel. I'm not sure if you can see. There you go, you might be able to see now. Just a little bit, just a tad. See, if I tilt it, you probably can see in the light. Isn't that pretty? So, like I said earlier, if you have just the regular old-fashioned glitter, you can use that with some glue, clear glue. I would put your glue with an older brush. I don't ever use my good brushes. I always have some of these cheap ones, these little kids brushes. That's what I kind of use for things like glue and like this type of glitter. Anything like that. I use kind of the cheaper brushes. You can use your better brushes, but if you have the cheaper one, they're better to use. So if you have just the old-fashioned glitter, which will get everywhere, right? Then you would take your old yucky brushes and just kind of daub on some of that Elmer's glue or Mod Podge, whatever you have on hand. Put a little bit here and there, but don't overkill. I wouldn't suggest that. You just want kind of a hint, you know, because your main emphasis on this painting is the cross and the fabric, the robe going across it. That's your main focus. So, and you don't even have to use glitter. But I'm going to add it to this one right here. I'm going to use my old brush. But anyway, like I said, if you have just the regular glitter, just add a little bit dots of clear glue and then sprinkle your glitter on. If you have this type of glitter, which this is the Folk Art, and I always keep, I like to keep on hand. I got this at Hobby Lobby, like $4.99. I like to keep clear glitter. I like to keep silver, and I like to keep this gold. Just a little bottle. Now I'm just sprinkling it on. I've got some little bit in the background and a little bit on the top, some in the center. Just trying to spread that around. I've got some coming down. You don't need much at all. You really don't. It's sticky though, I tell you. That's why I say use your old brushes. And then I'm going to add just a little bit at the base of the cross and the top of the heel. Just here and there, wherever you like. Now some people, I know glitter is awesome, and I know some people can go crazy with it. And there's some things, like Christmas time, I do that. But on this, I prefer to be a little bit more minimalist. Now make sure you wash this out with your brush really good. You like it? Good. Now see, it just adds a little something, doesn't it, guys? See that? Now it'll dry and it'll be clear. Or, well, of course you'll see the glitter, but the other stuff that's mixed with it will dry clear. So when you get done with your painting, guys, sign it. Remember? Got to sign it. So let's go over everything that we did. I always try to go over it with everybody. You know, first we talked about sketching and the proportions, and you use your pencil and ruler if you wanted to, or you didn't have to. And we sketched our cross and we sketched our heel, right? And then we went, our next step was we learned how to use acrylic paint and make a wash by adding water to it. So we did a very light background all the way around our background area of a light purple, right? Then our next step was to do kind of a yellow gold over on this area, and we made a wash with it, and we went over the previous color of the light purple. So when you look at this, you can still see in places a little bit of the background color of the light purple, and you can see the gold too. We also talked about how to soften those edges, not have a straight line, but how to soften them. So then we did our darker purple, and we went in this area here. Then we started on our cross, and we had 3 tones of paint of colors on our cross. We had a dark brown, we had a medium brown, and we actually had a real light brown or white, right? So we base coated the cross, the complete cross, in that real light tan or medium brown shade. Almost kind of, in my case, it almost looks like a light gray. So I base coated everything. Then we talked about using the darker colors for shading. And we started shading the left side of the cross, and then the bottom area or the lower section of the crossbar, right? Then we took the edge or the corner of our 1/2-inch flat brush, and we kind of learned how to make this jagged on the top of the wood and the sides of the wood. Then the next thing we did was add some light white or light tan, basically kind of white, to our wood. And we went basically on the right side of the vertical section. In the horizontal section, we went at the top and we highlighted that. And we kind of made it streaky to look like wood, right? You could also put knot holes if you want to in it. Then when we got that finished, then we wanted to make this crossbar appear like it was closer to us or in front of the vertical one. And in order to do that, we lighten this top part up, but we also darken behind it. Right up here was darker and right below it is a little darker. So that made the appearance of this crossbar coming towards us, being closer to us. When we finished that, then we added the white with the edge of our brush too, and kind of lightened and highlighted that. Then we jumped down to our heel and we base coated it in the same color basically that we did with the cross, kind of a light tan or light brown. And then we just added different colors of a dark brown and white to it and some green down here. Then from the green, we added some grass down here at the base of the cross and a little bit down here also. Then it was time to do our purple robe, and we learned how to sketch that to make it look a little bit more flowing. And it appears like it's coming around, coming from behind the top of the cross, and it's coming over the crossbar and draping over. And we used our pencil, of course, to sketch that out. And then we painted it with a purple. And then we did highlighting with a lighter shade of purple. And kind of topped it off with a little bit of white at the very end, at the very top, and maybe places that we wanted to make it pop. So the last step we did was add the glitter if you had glitter to use. And if you don't, you can always add that later also. So the very last thing you need to do is touch up any areas. And if you don't need to touch up, then put your signature on it and be proud of your painting. So thank you guys for being with me today. I enjoyed painting with you. This is Vicki Jean with Vicki Jean Wilson Art. And be sure to check back for the paintings on April 6th. And April 15th. And I've got one on a Tuesday and one on a Thursday to kind of accommodate people. And you can always look at them later too and watch the replays. So I will also put this one on my YouTube channel and check that out also. And again, one more time, if you want the step-by-step printout of how to paint this cottage flowers, then be sure to put in the comment flowers, and I will send you that link. So I hope everybody has a good rest of your Sunday. Thanks for joining me today, and have a happy Easter also, and much love to you guys. Bye-bye.